Hello friends. There's something undeniably magnetic about a Pisces man and a Taurus woman. It's as though the universe took two very different energies, one flowing like water, the other grounded like earth, and decided, yes, let's see what magic happens when they meet. And oh, does magic happen. But as with any love story, there's more beneath the surface than just first glances and shared laughter. Let's dive deep into their connection, from that first spark to the long-term dance of their souls. Chemistry. Initial attraction. The moment a Pisces man and Taurus woman meet, it's as if time momentarily loses its grip on the world around them. Not in a dramatic, thunderclap sort of way, but in that subtle, quietly breathtaking manner where everything else in the room seems to fade into a soft blur. A conversation stops mid-sentence somewhere behind them, a fork pauses halfway to a plate, and the background noise folds in on itself until all that exists in sharp focus is the small distance between the two of them. That first shared glance carries more weight than either of them will admit, an unspoken recognition, like two people catching sight of a familiar landmark after wandering in different landscapes for years. He, the Pisces man, carries a kind of mystery that is never loud but always felt. His eyes have that liquid depth that suggests he has been places few others have, not in miles traveled, but in emotions survived. They hold an ocean's worth of stories, some stormy, some calm, all worth telling to the right listener. His words, when they come, are gentle but never empty. Even small talk with him feels like it's been brushed with a thin layer of poetry, as if he can't help but weave beauty into even the most ordinary of sentences. There's a softness in his movements, but also a slight unpredictability, like a wave that might curl toward shore in the exact moment you least expect it. His presence makes you lean forward, curious, wanting more. She, the Taurus woman, is the counterbalance to his flowing energy. She's earth, rich, steady, full of life. There's a rootedness to her presence, an invisible weight that makes her feel like home even to strangers. People tend to orbit toward her without realizing it, drawn by the warmth in her eyes and the natural harmony in her posture. She doesn't chase attention, but she never needs to. Attention seems to find her naturally. Her beauty is rarely just about looks, it's in the way she creates space for others to be themselves, the way her laughter feels like sunlight warming the skin, the way she listens with her whole being. Pisces, ruled by Neptune, drifts in an ever-changing tide of feelings and imagination. His inner world is full of shifting light, dreamscapes, and quiet visions of what life could be if only people lived closer to their hearts. Taurus, ruled by Venus, walks a more tangible path. Her sense of beauty is not just in dreams, but in real textures, tastes, and moments she can hold in her hands. Where he dreams of an ideal life, she builds one. Where she sometimes risks becoming too anchored, he shows her how to let the wind move her hair. Their chemistry is not a sudden wildfire. It's a slow, rich burn. In the beginning, the attraction might even feel understated. But it grows, layer upon layer, each shared smile and lingering look building an invisible architecture of connection. When they speak, their words are calm, unhurried, but threaded with an undercurrent of curiosity. When they don't speak, the silence is full, warm, and strangely comfortable, the kind of silence that suggests two souls already know enough about each other without needing to fill the air. For him, her groundedness is a sanctuary. In a world where his emotions can feel like waves crashing against sharp rocks, she is the smooth shore where the water can rest. For her, his emotional depth is a revelation, a reminder that there are parts of herself she hasn't yet explored, feelings she hasn't yet given permission to bloom. The moments between them in these early days are small but unforgettable. Maybe it's the brush of his hand against hers when passing a menu, or the way her eyes soften when she catches him looking at her longer than he realizes. Maybe it's walking together in the evening and feeling the rhythm of their steps naturally match, without a word. Whatever it is, it becomes part of a tapestry that neither of them is weaving consciously, but both will one day look back on and see in intricate, undeniable detail. They don't explode into passion like a summer storm. They rise into it like the dawn, slow, inevitable, bathing everything in golden light before either of them fully realizes how much the world has changed since the moment they met. And perhaps that's the truest kind of attraction, not the spark that burns itself out, but the quiet fire that keeps growing, fed by every glance, every laugh, and every unspoken promise that they've only just begun to discover each other. Emotional dynamics. For the Pisces man, emotions are not fleeting clouds that pass overhead. They are oceans in which he swims every single day. He moves through life with his heart wide open, not just sensing his own feelings but absorbing the moods, pains, and joys of those around him. This gift of deep empathy can be as heavy as it is beautiful. When he loves, he doesn't merely stand on the shore of someone else's heart. He dives in, willing to know every hidden current, every deep trench, every quiet lagoon. There are times when he can't tell where his emotions end and another's begin, and in those moments, his sensitivity becomes both his superpower and his burden. The Taurus woman is equally capable of deep feeling, but her relationship with her emotions is far more deliberate. She is the keeper of an inner garden, tending each sentiment with care and refusing to let wild weeds of impulse overrun her peace. She knows when to water a feeling, when to prune it back, and when to leave it alone to bloom in its own time. Her approach is not cold or distant. It's simply rooted in the knowledge that emotions, like plants, need both nurturing and boundaries to thrive. While she feels as deeply as he does, she has learned the discipline of when and how to reveal those depths. This difference, rather than dividing them, often creates a kind of harmony. His openness invites her into emotional landscapes she might not otherwise explore. Her steadiness offers him an anchor when the waters of his mind become too rough. With him, she can dare to dream more freely. With her, he learns the art of emotional pacing, the beauty of pausing before reacting. She loves that when she speaks, he doesn't just hear the words, he hears the tone beneath them, the subtle hesitations, the unspoken meanings. He makes her feel truly understood, not just listened to. For his part, he cherishes her gift for calm. When his thoughts churn like storm waves, she has a way of slowing the wind without even raising her voice. She knows how to sit in silence without making it uncomfortable, how to give him the stillness he needs without pushing him to get over it before he's ready. In a world that often demands emotional speed, her patience is rare and precious to him. But harmony does not mean perfection. Their emotional rhythms sometimes fall out of sync. The Pisces man, with his idealistic heart, often sees the world as it could be rather than as it is. This can lead him into melancholy when reality doesn't measure up to his visions. He might linger in moments of sadness longer than she thinks is healthy, or get lost in dreams while life's practical tasks wait in the corner, tapping their foot. The Taurus woman, while compassionate, has little tolerance for excessive wallowing. Her instinct is to find solutions, to fix what can be fixed and move forward. At times, his lingering in emotional waters can feel, to her, like an unnecessary delay in the journey. These moments of misalignment can create tension, but they are also opportunities. When they choose to lean into each other's strengths instead of magnifying each other's weaknesses, their bond becomes a living example of balance. She learns that not every problem needs an immediate solution, some simply need to be felt and acknowledged before they can fade. He learns that dreams and ideals are most fulfilling when they're paired with tangible action, and that reality, when shared with someone who loves you deeply, can be as breathtaking as any fantasy. Over time, they may find that they start to meet each other halfway without even noticing it. She will sometimes surprise herself by allowing a tear to fall at the sight of a sunset because he has taught her to embrace the beauty of a moment without immediately needing to do something about it. He will discover a quiet pride in checking tasks off a list because she has shown him the stability and freedom that come from creating a life built on more than feelings alone. Their emotional connection is like a bridge suspended between two very different landscapes, his world of shifting waters and her land of steady earth. Each step they take toward each other strengthens the structure, and though the bridge will sway from time to time, sometimes because he pulls toward the sea, sometimes because she pulls toward the shore, they both know that walking it together is worth every adjustment. In the end, they discover that love is not about finding someone whose emotional nature perfectly matches yours, but about finding someone whose differences fill in the spaces you didn't even know were empty. Together, they create a bond that is not only nurturing and enduring, but also quietly transformative, changing each of them in ways they never could have imagined alone. Long-term compatibility. In the grand timeline of a relationship, when the first blush of new romance has mellowed and the daily rhythms of shared life begin to take shape, the pairing of a Pisces man and Taurus woman has an uncommon staying power. They are not the couple who needs constant spectacle to feel alive together. They do not burn out in the blaze of too much drama or collapse under the weight of impossible expectations. Instead, they build something steady, something that deepens year by year, quietly resilient against the winds and rains that test all unions. From the outside, they may not draw gasps or envy with grand public displays, but within their shared space, there is a constancy and trust that can feel unshakable. The Pisces man, for all his whimsical dreaming and occasional tendency to drift, holds an anchor in his heart that craves stability. He longs for a place, and more importantly, a person, where he can return after wandering through his inner oceans. The Taurus woman, with her innate steadiness and unwavering sense of loyalty, offers exactly that. When she commits, it is not halfway or with conditions, it is with the full weight of her being, a decision she will protect and nurture through every season. She is not easily shaken by passing storms, and he feels this from the earliest days. With her, he senses a shelter that is not only emotional but spiritual, a home that will not disappear when the weather turns. In return, the Pisces man infuses her life with a freshness that keeps her from becoming too set in her ways. His tenderness brings a softening to her practical nature, his creativity brightens the edges of her carefully built world, and his romantic gestures, often spontaneous and delightfully impractical, remind her that life is not just about building walls and planting gardens, but about opening windows to let in wild breezes. Where she tends toward the familiar, he sometimes nudges her toward the unknown, offering her the thrill of new experiences without demanding she abandon her roots. Of course, long-term harmony does not mean the absence of friction. His indecision can become a point of frustration for her, especially when important choices must be made. There are moments when his escapist tendencies, whether through daydreaming, procrastination, or avoiding unpleasant truths, test her patience. Taurus is a sign that values progress you can see and touch, and she can bristle when faced with what feels like his reluctance to plant both feet on the ground. On the other side, her stubbornness can be equally trying for him. While his nature is fluid, adaptable, and willing to see a dozen shades of gray in any situation, she can be resolute to the point of immovability. When she decides on a course, turning her can be like trying to shift a mountain. Yet what keeps these challenges from eroding the relationship is their shared, underlying desire for peace, comfort, and loyalty. Neither of them thrives in chaos. Both are willing to work toward restoring harmony when tension arises. When disagreements come, they may retreat to their corners, but they rarely slam the door shut. Time and experience teach them that winning an argument matters far less than preserving the safety of the bond they share. Over years together, they learn the art of balance. She comes to understand that sometimes his pauses and hesitations are not weaknesses but moments of reflection, the space he needs to make decisions that feel true to his heart. He comes to see that her firmness is not meant to stifle him, but to give structure to their shared life, a structure that, paradoxically, allows him more freedom to dream without fear of collapse. They meet each other in the middle, adjusting without losing themselves, learning the delicate choreography of give and take that all lasting relationships require. Their love, as the years stretch on, becomes a blend of safety and soulfulness. It is the comfort of knowing who will be beside you when you wake each morning, paired with the quiet thrill that this person still has layers you have yet to uncover. It is the ability to weather arguments without fearing they signal an ending, and the joy of celebrating small victories that outsiders might overlook. For them, longevity is not about surviving together by default. It is about choosing each other again and again, even on the days when it is not easy. And perhaps this is why the Pisces man and Taurus woman, when they commit fully, so often become one of the zodiac's quietly successful love stories, not because they avoid hardship, but because they create a partnership where hardship cannot undo what they have so carefully built. Their love is a safe harbor with a view of the open sea, a place where they can both rest and dream, knowing that neither will drift too far from the other for too long. Communication conflict resolution. When harmony is present, their conversations carry the same gentle, rhythmic quality as a river gliding over smooth stones. The Pisces man speaks in a way that feels unguarded, as though each word has been carried up directly from his heart. His language is often colored with imagery and emotion, his sentences occasionally wandering into philosophical territory even during everyday discussions. The Taurus woman, on the other hand, prefers her words to be anchored. She chooses them with care, aiming for precision and practicality. When she speaks, her sentences have weight, not because they are heavy but because they are built to stand. This contrast, when nurtured, becomes a strength. His empathy softens her edges, while her clarity gives structure to his sometimes meandering thoughts. In times of connection, they can talk for hours without the conversation feeling forced. He asks questions that encourage her to reveal the deeper layers of her thoughts, making her feel not just heard but truly understood. She responds with insights that help him ground his dreams, bringing them from the abstract into the realm of the possible. Even the silences between their words carry meaning, the quiet space where her steady presence meets his fluid understanding. In those moments, language is almost unnecessary. A glance or a shared sigh can say more than a dozen sentences. But the landscape changes when conflict arises. Disagreements are inevitable in any long-term relationship, and for this pair, their differences in communication style can easily become stumbling blocks if they're not careful. The Pisces man's instinct, when tension appears, is often to retreat. Silence can feel safer than confrontation. He might hope the problem will resolve itself if left alone, slipping into avoidance rather than risking the possibility of a heated clash. His withdrawal is rarely out of malice, it's more of a protective reflex, a way to keep the emotional waters from becoming too turbulent. The Taurus woman meets conflict with an entirely different instinct. When her mind is made up, her stance is difficult to shift. Her earthy determination becomes a wall of resolve, one she sees as necessary to protect her perspective and values. Once she has decided that she is in the right, she may dig in, unwilling to yield ground until she feels truly understood or the issue is resolved to her satisfaction. While this trait can be a strength in other areas of life, during disputes with a Pisces partner, it risks turning into a stalemate. The real challenge here lies in timing and patience. For their communication to work in moments of discord, each must be willing to step outside their default patterns. The Taurus woman benefits from remembering that the Pisces man's initial silence isn't always a refusal to engage. Sometimes it's his way of gathering the courage to share what he feels. Giving him the time and space to articulate his emotions without fear of dismissal allows him to come forward more openly. Likewise, the Pisces man must learn that his partner's insistence on concrete solutions is not an attempt to dismiss the emotional nuances he brings. Rather, it is her way of ensuring that their relationship is built on actions as well as feelings. If he can honor her need for tangible resolution, she is far more likely to soften her stance and meet him in the middle. Over time, with care, they can develop a rhythm in conflict just as they do in harmony. They begin to recognize each other's cues, the subtle signs that frustration is building, the way his eyes drift away when he feels unheard, or the tightening in her voice when she fears her perspective is being overlooked. These recognitions become the warning lights that signal it's time to slow down, breathe, and return to listening rather than defending. The beauty of this pairing is that when they commit to truly hearing each other, they are capable of transforming disagreements into deeper intimacy. By approaching conflict as an opportunity to understand rather than to win, they avoid the emotional erosion that so often undermines love. His empathy allows him to absorb the truth in her words even when they're difficult to hear, and her grounded nature helps anchor his feelings in a way that leads to real progress. Ultimately, their communication thrives not because they never disagree, but because they learn, slowly, sometimes painfully, that conflict does not have to mean disconnection. With each resolved dispute, they strengthen their trust in one another, proving that they can weather emotional storms without losing sight of the love that brought them together. Over years, this ability becomes one of their most valuable tools, ensuring that even when voices rise or tempers flare, they can find their way back to the gentle, steady current that has always carried them forward. Physical intimate connection. Here is where the quiet magic between them often becomes undeniable, the realm where their elemental harmony transforms from an abstract compatibility into something deeply felt and physically lived. Earth and water, Taurus and Pisces, are two forces that, when joined, create an environment of growth, nourishment, and depth. Just as water seeps into the soil, enriching it, and the earth shapes and holds the water, giving it form, these two signs instinctively know how to bring out the best in each other when it comes to intimacy. This natural alignment doesn't just play out in their emotional lives, it blooms most vividly in the way they connect physically. Their physical relationship is rarely about quick sparks or hurried encounters. Instead, it unfolds in the same way a lush garden grows, with patience, care, and an awareness that every moment matters. There's a natural blend of sensuality and emotional closeness between them that makes intimacy feel less like a separate part of their relationship and more like an extension of their everyday affection. The boundaries between emotional and physical love blur until they are one and the same. For the Pisces man, intimacy has always been about more than the physical act. He approaches it as an exchange of souls, an unspoken dialogue where the body becomes a language. To him, a kiss can be a confession, the meeting of eyes a vow, and the simple act of holding hands a way to merge energies. He longs for encounters where every touch is layered with meaning, where passion is not rushed but savored. Physical pleasure is important, yes, but it is inseparable from the emotional and spiritual connection he seeks. The Taurus woman meets him in this space with a gift of her own, an unshakable sensuality that is grounded in presence. Ruled by Venus, she has an innate understanding of beauty, touch, and the art of savoring the moment. She doesn't rush, she enjoys the slow build, the way anticipation can heighten every sense, the lingering touches that say more than words ever could. In her arms, he feels no pressure to perform, only an invitation to be fully himself. She knows how to create an environment, whether it's the softness of sheets, the scent of a candle, or the warmth of her gaze, that allows him to completely open up. Their connection in this realm thrives on mutual generosity. He offers her tenderness and emotional depth that elevate physical pleasure into something transcendent. She offers him stability, safety, and a tactile richness that anchors even his most ethereal impulses in the here and now. Together, they create a rhythm that feels both instinctive and deliberate, where every moment of closeness builds on the last, weaving intimacy that grows richer with time. Even as years pass, their physical bond rarely fades into routine. If anything, it deepens, because both of them value the emotional closeness that fuels it. They understand that intimacy begins long before they touch, in the way they speak to each other during the day, in shared laughter over small things, in the simple comfort of being in the same room. These small daily acts become threads that pull them toward each other when the lights are low, making their physical encounters not just pleasurable but profoundly affirming. For them, passion is not a fleeting flame but a hearth fire, warm, enduring, and always ready to welcome them home. Their love life is sustained by a mutual desire to give and receive in equal measure, to remain curious about each other's needs and responsive to each other's moods. In this way, their physical connection becomes one of the strongest pillars of their relationship, holding them steady through life's inevitable changes. It is this rare balance, the marriage of sensual earth and emotional water, that makes their intimacy not just satisfying in the moment but deeply bonding over the long term. Each encounter reminds them, in its own wordless way, that they are more than lovers, they are partners in creating something sacred, where pleasure and love are never in competition but instead rise together, feeding the roots of a connection that can endure for a lifetime. Shared values, life goals. At the heart of their relationship, beyond the initial spark and even beyond the emotional and physical connection, lies something far more enduring. A shared foundation of values and dreams that shapes the way they move through life together. The Pisces man and Taurus woman may seem, on the surface, to approach life from opposite directions. He drifts toward possibility, guided by visions and ideals that are often more emotional than practical. She moves with a steady purpose, preferring to chart her path carefully and place her feet only on solid ground. Yet, when you look closer, the compass points of their inner worlds are remarkably aligned. Both are quietly, profoundly devoted to peace, comfort, and loyalty, and these shared values become the thread that holds them together even when life tugs at the edges. They both dream of a home that feels like a sanctuary, not just a physical place, but an atmosphere. To them, home is not defined by square footage or style trends but by the feeling it creates the moment you step inside. For the Pisces man, that sanctuary is a refuge for his spirit, a place where his mind can wander safely without being pulled back into the noise of the world too soon. For the Taurus woman, it is a refuge for the body and heart, a space of warmth, beauty, and stability where love is evident in every detail. Together, they envision a home that is both soft and strong, where candles might burn on rainy evenings, music drifts through the air, and the chaos of the outside world cannot breach the walls. Trust is another value they hold as sacred. Neither is interested in a relationship built on games or half-truths. The Pisces man's emotional openness makes deception almost impossible for him to sustain. His feelings live too close to the surface. The Taurus woman's moral steadiness means she has no patience for dishonesty, either given or received. They both understand that trust is not a single act but a practice, built in countless small moments. The times they choose honesty even when it's uncomfortable, the times they keep a confidence, the times they show up exactly when they said they would. Kindness, too, is woven into their shared code of living. For the Pisces man, kindness is instinctive, a reflection of his ability to feel the pain and joy of others as if it were his own. For the Taurus woman, kindness is deliberate, a choice to create stability and safety in the lives of those she loves. Together, their approach to kindness becomes both soft and strong, a combination that nurtures their relationship while also shaping the way they interact with the world beyond it. Financially, their approaches differ, but even this becomes a point of balance rather than conflict when handled with respect. The Taurus woman is practical with money, seeing it as a tool to build security and comfort. She plans, saves, and invests with care, ensuring that the life they build has a strong foundation. The Pisces man, though capable of discipline, sometimes follows his heart more than his budget, spending on beauty, experiences, or ideas that capture his imagination. While this can lead to impulsive choices, it can also bring richness to their life, moments and memories that go beyond the purely practical. When they learn to blend her cautious planning with his inspired spontaneity, they create not only financial stability but a life that feels full and vibrant. Where adjustment is most needed between them is in their pace. The Pisces man can sometimes flow through life without a fixed direction, trusting that things will work out if he follows his intuition. The Taurus woman, by contrast, prefers to set tangible goals and move toward them with determination. This difference can frustrate them if left unchecked. She may see him as drifting, while he may see her as overly rigid. Yet, when they are at their best, they find a way to combine his flexibility with her structure. Her plans give form to his dreams. His openness reminds her that life's most beautiful moments often happen in between the milestones. In their shared vision, life is not just about stability for its own sake or about chasing dreams without grounding. It is about creating a reality where both stability and inspiration coexist, a life where they can feel secure enough to rest and yet free enough to explore. They want a home where love is not only a feeling but a daily practice, where laughter is as common as quiet moments, and where both of them feel seen for who they truly are. Over time, these shared values become the quiet engine of their relationship. They may not talk about them every day, but they guide the decisions they make, from the way they spend their weekends to the way they respond to life's bigger challenges. And in those inevitable seasons when life tests them, it is these common values, their mutual love of peace, comfort, loyalty, trust, and emotional safety, that pull them back to the same side, reminding them that they are, in the truest sense, building the same life together. Final thoughts. The connection between a Pisces man and a Taurus woman is, at its core, a living metaphor, a delicate yet enduring dance of water and earth, two elements that, when they meet, transform one another without losing themselves. His world is made of tides and dreams, a place where feelings flow endlessly, where the horizon is never fixed. Her world is shaped by soil and stone, a place where foundations are laid with care and where beauty is cultivated through patience and constancy. When these two worlds meet, they don't simply blend, they create a third space, a shared reality that is richer than either could have built alone. Their compatibility is not an accident, nor is it the stuff of fleeting infatuation. It rests on a bedrock of mutual respect, a recognition that each brings something the other truly needs. He teaches her to loosen her grip, to lift her gaze from the path she's carefully paved and see the vast sky above it. She shows him that dreams, while beautiful, become even more powerful when they are anchored to something real and lasting. His idealism finds a home in her steadiness, her practicality finds inspiration in his wonder. In the daily rhythm of their life together, they move like complementary forces. When he drifts too far into the mist of his imagination, she is there, not to pull him back abruptly, but to offer a hand and guide him toward the shore. When her life becomes too rooted, too focused on what is safe and predictable, he is the tide that rises quietly around her feet, reminding her of the thrill of stepping into uncharted waters. In this way, they do not just love each other, they actively shape each other into fuller, more balanced versions of themselves. This is not a relationship defined by constant fireworks or the kind of drama that burns bright and burns out. Instead, it is the steady glow of a lantern carried through years, its flame protected and tended by both. There will be storms, moments when his fluidity frustrates her, moments when her stubbornness tests him. But the harbor they have built together is strong. The walls are made of trust, the roof of shared values, and the foundation of a bond that is both emotional and physical, rooted and flowing. Over time, their love deepens in ways that are invisible to the outside world. They learn each other's silences, each other's smallest joys, each other's ways of saying, "I love you," without speaking the words. They celebrate not just milestones, but the simple, daily victories, the way he remembers to make her coffee just the way she likes it, the way she knows when to give him space without making him feel abandoned. These small acts accumulate into something greater than passion alone, a partnership that feels like a safe, unshakable refuge. And yet, for all its stability, their love never loses its warmth. It is not the kind of comfort that becomes complacency. There is always a thread of curiosity between them, a quiet pull to keep discovering new facets of each other. Even decades in, there are moments, perhaps over a shared meal, perhaps during a walk at sunset, when they catch each other's gaze and feel that first spark all over again, not as a fleeting thrill, but as a deep and enduring truth. In the end, theirs is a story about love that grows stronger, deeper, and more resilient with time. It is proof that romance does not have to fade into routine, that stability does not have to mean stagnation. It is about finding someone whose presence feels like coming home, and knowing that home is a place where you can both rest and dream. In a world that chases fleeting sparks, their bond is a reminder of the rare and quiet magic that happens when two people choose, again and again, to tend the same flame, not because they must, but because they cannot imagine life without its light.